abnormality in Egyptian pharaoh DNA. Was he an alien hybrid? Akhenaten's DNA is more intense than human Homo sapien DNA, and also his bone is more dense than Homo sapien bone. So obviously he's not a Homo sapien. The ancient Egyptians tried to erase his legacy from history as well, because he was monotheistic. So they tried to erase his legacy from history, so very little is known about him. But what we know about this ruler makes us wonder who or what he really was. Unlike all previous pharaohs who were portrayed in excellent physical shape, Akhenaten's appearance is surprisingly strange. He's got almond-shaped eyes, a small abdomen, thin lips, and an elongated skull. Akhenaten turned the whole of Egypt upside down, creating the greatest act of heresy the Egyptians had ever known. He claimed that the Egyptians should have no longer believed in a pantheon of several gods, but that they should worship only one God, the one true God who created everything. In this regard, there is an assumption that Akhenaten and the biblical character Abraham may have been the same person. Researchers have discovered the bodies of many pharaohs and their family members in a mummified form, but no mummy of Akhenaten has ever been found. But statutory carvings from the time show Akhenaten alone, as well as I'm sorry, I told you about the DNA in the bone. That's King Tut, King Tutankhamun. Now, the statutory and carvings from the time show Akhenaten alone, as well as in affectionate family settings that include his main consort Nefertiti and their children, which also had elongated skulls. Such settings were never employed in artwork of pharaohs before or after Akhenaten. However, Akhenaten did not really believe in monotheism. He was absolutely convinced that other gods exist, but decided that all worship and prayers would be given to one god, Aten, the sun god in ancient Egyptian tradition. His ruling period is known as the Amarna period. He also shifted the capital of Egypt from Thebes to the city he founded, known as Tel El Amarna or Amarna. This period is the most debated and studied period of Egyptian history. The DNA study of Pharaoh. Everything about Akhenaten was unusual, even his DNA. In the 2015, Stuart Fleshman, assistant professor of comparative genomics at Cairo University, and his team published the result of a 7-year study. They mapped the genomes of 9 ancient Egyptian pharaohs. 9 ancient Egyptian pharaohs. 8 samples were completely normal, and the 9th one that belonged to Akhenaten was rather unusual. So I was right. Okay, my memory is failing me. I need some more coffee. Fleischmann and his team subjected the precious samples of ancient DNA to a process called polymerase chain reaction, PCR test. In the field of molecular biology, this technique is often used to replicate and amplify a single copy of a piece of DNA, giving researchers a clear picture of someone's genetic fingerprint. 8 out of 9 samples returned interesting but typical results. The 9th sample belonging to Akhenaten, the enigmatic 14th century BC pharaoh and father of Tutankhamun. Okay, so I was right. Okay, Akhenaten was the father of King Tut, so obviously King Tut had the same kind of DNA. Now, a small fragment of desiccated brain tissue had been the source of DNA sample, and the test was repeated using bone tissue, but the same results were obtained. One of the culprits was a gene called CXPAC5, which is responsible for cortex growth. The anomaly is visible in the image that we find. Another interesting piece of evidence provides backing into this hypothesis. The image showing microscopic photographs of osseous tissue samples from the skull, that's bone tissue from the skull of Akhenaten, and that of different mummies of the same age. The skull is enlarged only by 2 processes, extreme aging and extreme genetic mutation, so Akhenaten could not be more than 45 years old. Archaeological evidence refutes this. In addition, the electron microscopes have found signs of a nucleon scar, which is a sure manifestation of the healing of the DNA helix after exposure to strong mutagens. What the heck is that? According to Yale professor Erwin Braverman, an abnormality in akhenaten's appearance could be familial gynecomastia and craniosynostosis. Gynecomastia means women's womanly breasts. Gynecomastia, gyneka is woman in Greek, mastia means breast, is a condition largely found in men whose chest swells due to hormonal imbalance. Braverman said that Akhenaten's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather had familial gynecomastia. Akhenaten's enlarged head was due to the condition called craniosynostosis. The results of the analysis of bone tissue taken from Akhenaten's skull showed that the bones of the skull are much denser and fundamentally different from other mummies of the same age and period. Moreover, Akhenaten's skull and skeleton were twice as dense and durable as that of modern humans. Twice as dense. So what or who was Akhenaten really? A hybrid of an alien, a mutant, or a creature from another planet? If any of this is true, then there is a possibility that the ancient aliens arrived on Earth in the distant past, residing near the Nile River, and lived among the locals. So this is on House and Wise by Vicky Verma. What do you think about this? Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. My Patreon account, the daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.